Hi, I'm Yoga Paige. I'm going to talk to you today about some motions of the spine. Some of you will know this and be already clapping. Yay, motions of the spine. There are various ways that your spinal column, from the very base of the spine all the way to the top of the neck, can move. And I say that subjectively going, well, it can. It doesn't mean that it will and it will like it. But there's some motions of the spine that we do need. We'll go through those motions today in poses where we leave the lower portion of our body still in a pose. These poses that will remain in the lower body are often referred to in practices called Yin yoga. So think of it as the lower portion doing Yin and the upper portion doing Yang, if you like that. Otherwise, what we're going to do is first understand how we're going to set up for that. These are props, yoga props, blocks. They come in different containers. This one is a foam one, so it's a little softer. There are some made out of cork. A blanket. This is just an ordinary Mexican style blanket, they'll call it. But you may use it in these poses, and I'm going to show you how. The first thing you're going to realize is that because these poses are done on the floor and seated, not all of us were meant to sit straight on the floor. Matter of fact, most of us will find ourselves maybe with our knees this high and maybe rounded in our back and so unaware of what's going on in the back that we don't realize what we need to do is sit up higher. We need to be off the floor higher, so that's where these props come in handy. The first one is to realize that if you don't need a lot of help with that, but just a little bit, I'm going to fold it enough that it's high enough to just lift me slightly off the floor. What I'm doing is sitting to the front of it. Much more to the front so that the back can curve and watch the knees go down. And I know people are sometimes a little too worried about what they can see in front of them, so they're so worried about pushing their knees down. However, what you're really looking to do is change the structure here, in the back, in the pelvis. Okay. The other thing is if that doesn't do that, you're still back here rounded, you just need to keep coming higher. So a block would be a place to sit on that and sit up. Watch how my knees just went down. Yeah, there they went. Okay. I don't really need that high though. However, I do like sitting on something in between that, meditation pillow. You may just have an ordinary pillow. That may be compromising somewhere between really high to very low. And again, what I'm going to do is put it back here so that I sit and it just tilts my back. This way, when I'm doing this practice of the movements of the spine, I don't have to worry so much about sitting that long. It doesn't strain my muscles at all. Okay, so let's try sitting in the first position, shall we? And deciding for yourself, where will that be? And we'll start off just with ordinary crossed legs. There you go. Motions of the spine. Let's start with the first and foremost one. It's your forward fold. I don't care how far you go, but what I do care is that you don't have to strain or pull your back. So I like to take mine just a little bit out. Hold there. If you're restless, anxious, count. Count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Take it over to one side. No, it doesn't matter which side. Your forward fold, but to the side. Count it to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. To the other side, please slow down. Pay attention. Concentration is a huge part of yoga. Count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Back to the middle as we sit up. Next motion of the spine is what's called the arc. As you can see from my jacket, this, imagine being the spinal column I'm talking about. I'm not interested in how far you can reach. I'm interested in how much of a bend you can get in the spine. For some of us, it's enough with the hand. Some of us prefer to start to come down onto the elbow. It's not a competition though. I like to sometimes find a place right in the middle where I just slightly bend. I'm much more interested in the bend happening here. As you can see, length here, short waist here. Good, that's about a little over 10 seconds, but that's okay. Count it out. Counting is really not to say how long you should be there. It's really to help you focus. Counting to 10, right? So sometimes you'll need help. I'll say refresh and start again and again. Notice now. Notice the room. Count. And we're up. Put your hands back. Now some people put their hands in this direction and some like it to the side. I tend to like a fist, so you find out what's best for you. And slightly back bend, but notice what I didn't do is back bend this way. I'm going to back bend and lift the chest. I like to do back bend with the chin forward. Some like the head back. I do it this way because I can get more breath up into the throat. Counting, hopefully, 10. Okay. Last motion of the spine is our twist. Twisting. This should be primarily up in the upper back. You shouldn't feel your hip go with you. Just keep the lower portion of the body where it was at. Okay, counting. If you're counting, it's because what? You're restless. Finding it hard to focus. It's hard to concentrate. Count. No, you can't tell me you can't concentrate. Focus again. Refresh. Good, and come back to center. We change the pose. We change it now to butterfly. Some people will do this one with the feet together and sometimes apart. It doesn't matter. What I don't want to see you do is only exclusively pull here, which is what you'll see a lot of when people come here, because that's all they're used to is, I'm used to feeling that. So I'm going to ask you to consider, bring it forward. Lighten this up, because this is just going to hold here. We're going to leave the joints in this position while we begin moving and counting. Okay, upper body moves into motions of the spine. First one, forward fold. Counting out to 10. It's about here where I like to close the eyes. You may close them. Stop worrying about everybody next to you and around you. Move it to the sides. It's not important that you do them in the same order. And eventually, you may even start to just move into them on your own to the other side, counting out to 10. Then I have what? The arc. The arc is different than the forward fold. I often see people confuse it. They thought they already did it. There was forward fold, and then there's arcing, really to the side of you, your side waist stretching. Good. To the other side. How much can you get the spine? Imagine this zipper of my jacket shows you how much of a bend could happen. And don't be mad at yourself if it doesn't bend. You can be very, very tight. Back bend. Hands back. Pull the chest up. The zipper of your chest lifts up. So you're not falling into the back. Good. And then your twist. And to the other side. And out of your twist. Rotating. We're going to take one leg around, what's called the deer pose. Okay, this is not always so simple for people to sit in. The most common questions I'll have is, should this tailbone, should the buttocks be down? No, it doesn't have to be down at all here. You have rotated this hip differently than where it was a moment ago. So think about that. This hip's different. Okay, let's start with the motions of the spine with this different rotation now that you have in your hips. Leave it there and let's just see what happens. Fold. Counting out, right? You got your 10. Count it. Focus. Maybe close your eyes. What happens if you sigh? Taking it to the other side, not so easy. It's in a different rotation of your hip. There has to be some realization there that recognizes that also says there's nothing wrong here. I just have to accept this hip is different. This side is different. This moment's different. Okay, seated to the side. I arc. The motions of the spine. Now, this is where it could be different. Now, if I just reach and pull, that's one thing, but I want to get enough bend in the waist. Good. To the other side, which will be completely different. Look at how I can't come over on the elbow here because the hip's in a different rotation. That's okay. I'm mostly looking at how much bend could happen in the side waist. That's what we're looking for. How much could curve on each side here? Not where you could pull. Okay. And then I have what? My back bend. My back bend, which your neck is part of this. So maybe you need to change the neck around into some different positions here. Rotations of the neck that look to the right, to the left, that look around it, up and down, and lots of little places in between. Maybe you made it past 10, you're at 20 seconds. Good for you. Oh, stopping and noticing that your length could change. Length of time to concentrate. Twist. Are you slowing down, concentrating more? Maybe you stop and notice the things you can see. I notice the shapes, the colors, the forms. Start to slow down even more, turn around to the other side. Notice the things you can hear. Good. And then unwind. We move it to the other side, so twist that around. Remind yourself that even this hip in this moment is different. Ready. Forward fold. Motions of the spine. Count it out. Maybe your count's becoming longer. Name the things in your mind. Name them off quietly. What can you see? What can you hear? What can you feel? What can you touch? While you're busy thinking there isn't much to touch, feel your clothing. Feel the space, the room. I'm going to move it around to the other side. Come back to noticing the sensations. The withdrawal into the sensations. Notice the things you can see, hear, feel, and touch. Back to center, arcing. And if you change the order in this at any time, feel free. You could have skipped it, maybe you moved fast, and then you looked up and saw what I was doing and went, oh yeah, I forgot that. It's okay. Refresh your concentration. Come back. Come back to concentrating on this moment. Maybe counting was helping you with that. Count again. Back bend. What happens when you sigh? Are you able to slow down and focus? Twist. To the other side. Good, and then back to center. You can continue to do these on a bunch of positions. And the most obvious ones start off here with the yin poses that says, well, you could also take this leg out. Now, some people do it straight out, and some people will keep it slightly bent. That's okay. The observation is to notice that this hip now changed with the movement of this hip. It's entirely different suddenly. It's different than it was here. Notice the word I use, different, versus thinking one is bad or good or right or wrong. Just different, different, different. Even here, if the foot was here, maybe tuck it in and change the hip. Bring in the leg. Different. Motions of the spine could be done in this pose. They could also be done when you bring this in, with the back leg being the one that you extend. Motions of the spine. Good. The back bend in this looks like this, but some people will do it this way. Good. Continue with the motions of the spine on your own, and maybe even see where you could apply these into other poses. Even your standing poses could incorporate this and understand why some of the standing poses already have some of that impacted into it that says, well, it's not just moving the spine in the same order it's used to, but trying to understand yourself and learning where the pose changes, what that tells you, what information are you gathering from that. For most of you, just doing some motions of the spine just for this long has already changed, has already shifted some levels of restlessness, and maybe you're starting to realize you were restless and fatigued. And by that time you go, well, she said it, that's why I want to lie down. And I would encourage you to lie down, maybe do some poses lying down. You know, some of my favorites are going to be bridge pose. No, not wheel, not the one where you may have done that in a gymnastics or dance. Bridge. If you're ready to lie down, you take a bridge pose with the block, a pillow, something, and lift up and place it right here on the buttocks more than the back. And stay here for a little while. This is when you've come down from, you've had enough movement, enough yang, time to come down to just a yin pose. Some people stay here, some people lift the knees. Some people like to lift the feet up. Feel free to stay in this for as long as you need. I'm going to come down out of it, and then also suggest that for some of you, you're just going to stay here with the knees bent. Maybe you've even decided to come over onto your side. Rest, restorative pose. Good. Stay there while I sit up. Stay there while I sit up. Noticing that the shift of your level of energy can change, that maybe the practice helped us to lower, to mitigate levels of restlessness, anxiousness, and worry. Didn't get rid of it, but it lowered it. And that lowering is something we want to see. Did we find a place of ease? And if you were fatigued, at least the information was there. It showed it to you. It just presented itself more clearly to you. And you could take an action that helps it, a longer restorative pose. Deep breath in, big breath out. I hope this helps. Take your time now to finish your own practice. The video will end. That doesn't mean your yoga practice ends. Continue with the movements of the spine, and then become completely aware of when your body has lowered into a place of stillness. And then spend some time in stillness and observe what you notice. I hope this helps. The light in me sees that light in you. So I say, namaste.